Hi, Jared Ice with Towermint Studios, and today we'll be removing graffiti from the background of a video, so let's get started. So here you can see we have some graffiti on this tree here. We'll also be taking out some of the graffiti from the trees back here, so let's take a look. First problem right off the bat is we have some movement left and right in the video here, and that's going to be a problem because of our vertical lines on our tree. So the first thing we're going to want to do is take this movement out. So go ahead and go to your effects and search for your warp stabilizer, and go ahead and drag and drop that onto the clip you want to stabilize. Now normally this will kind of create more of a smooth motion of panning, but we want to take that and say no motion so it stands still. Of course, you could also apply the technique we're doing today to a panning video, but then you might have to go into After Effects and play around with some motion tracking. And since we're after a quick fix today, we just want to stay in two programs. So let's take a look. There we have it, no motion. This is going to be much easier to fix, which is what we're after today, is just a quick fix. So we still have some motion from the woman on the bike, but the video itself is not moving. That's good. So we're going to go to this camera icon here and just snap a picture of this frame, and we'll just call it Tree Repair. We're just going to want to make sure that we put this photo in a folder somewhere we can find it later. So let's go into Media Browser, and then we're going to import this JPEG of this frame we just took, and we're going to add it to our timeline above the video. So let's grab this, and we'll just put it onto our timeline here, and we'll make sure that everything lines up nicely. So once we have our photo lined up, then we're going to right-click the photo, and we're just going to edit in Adobe Photoshop. So let's right-click, edit in Adobe Photoshop, and then it will automatically open up this photo in Photoshop, and we can do some work on getting rid of this graffiti. So here we are in Photoshop, and we see the JPEG we took earlier of our video frame, and we're just going to zoom in on this graffiti first on this tree, and get a closer look to start the process of removing this. Since what we're after today is more of a quick fix, I'll be using the healing brush, but there's also the patch tool and many other great functions that can do similar or even better work. So we'll go to the left here, select the healing brush, and we're going to click Alt to grab a portion of the picture down below here, and then you can see how it's dragging the cursor up and copy and pasting that with the brush tool over the graffiti. It's a good idea to let go of the cursor sometimes so that it resets from the original position. Also, it's a very good idea to find new positions every once in a while so we don't see too many repeated lines and it looks unrealistic. So I'm going to speed this process up for now. So let's go ahead and take a look. Looks pretty good. Quick and dirty repair, but effective. The trees no longer draw the eye, and we can focus on the scenery more. So what we want to do now is we want to export this work as a JPEG. Our goal here is to export this and save over our original file, our original photo we took from Premiere Pro, but of course you could save this separately and just re-drag and drop it onto your timeline. So tree repair, I'll just click save, and I will save over the original photo we took so that it replaces it automatically in Premiere Pro. So of course you can always come back into Photoshop and do some touch-ups later if it doesn't look good enough, but for now let's jump back into Premiere Pro and take a look at what we have. So here we are back in Premiere Pro, and we can see our photo's been repaired with the work we did in Photoshop. The graffiti's now gone. So let's go over to opacity here, and we're going to create a mask. We of course don't want the whole photo to be visible, just the portions of the photo that cover up the graffiti. We still want the motion and everything to happen. Make sure when you're doing this, you're careful. Some of these branches are moving in the wind, you see. We want to be very careful not to cover these because we're going to see them disappear behind the mask. We also don't want to have things not moving that should be moving. If somebody comes and walks in front of one of your masks, then you're of course going to have to go in, and for those frames, you'll have to adjust the mask around that person. But for the most part, you want to try to avoid areas where there's a lot of traffic because you're going to have to do a lot of work in removing them. So we'll go to these back trees here, again, creating a mask, and I'm going to come just under the branches here to avoid them disappearing behind the mask as they blow through the wind a little bit. And also you can go in and you can play around with the feather settings and opacity. Often 100% photo is not the best way. Sometimes a 70% mix of the photo and video looks the most realistic, but still takes enough of the graffiti away to distract. So let's take a look and see what we have here. So it looks pretty good. The graffiti is no longer distracting, and we're free to focus on the motion of the video. So I'm going to select both these clips. I'm going to nest them together, which will more or less make them one video clip. I can still go into the nest if I want to adjust the feathering of the masks or do some work in Photoshop. But if I want to add color grading or transitions on top, then I won't suddenly have one layer or one mask popping out. So I'm going to add some transitions here and let's take a look. So it looks pretty good and it's ready for color grading. So that's removing graffiti in about 5 minutes.